battlefield in my world is the dance floor. Prepare for madness.
When I stay here, I risk everything. I leave everything behind. Seven. Oh, no, it's not swing. It's just swingers.
Или потому что я сильна. Das
Bitte machen Sie die Tür auf.
Sie wissen selber, dass Sie schon ganz lange einen Ausweisungsbescheid haben.
Mama! Mach die Tür auf! Ich will nicht in einem Flüchtlingsheim.
Und das ist die Ruth, deine neue Pflegemama.
Hallo. Wir haben unsere eigene Mutter, unsere eigene Wohnung.
Oskar Lilli.
Oskar, ich werde dich finden. Egal, wo sie dich hinbringen.
Wir haben es richtig schön für dich gemacht, gell? Dass du dich wohlfühlst und dass du dich... Sagst du was?
Ja, wo ist das Fleisch?
Oskar, wir sind Vegetarier.
Kann es ja nicht Vegetarier sein, der auch Fleisch isst?
Sei so traurig. Das wird schon.
Ich will, dass es dir gut geht, Oskar. Ich will auch, dass es dir gut geht. Meine Erfindung für dich. Und wie geht's mit Zittern?
Wunderbar.
Liebe Mami, hab gehört, dass es dir schneller gut geht, wenn es uns auch bestens geht. Mir geht's bestens gut. Wenn die Sonne durchscheint, ist es ein gutes Zeichen.
Thank you so much for joining us again in Europe Oskar 2021 Film Talk with me, Melina Putri-Wismurti, the Festival Co-Director of Europe Oskar 2021. Tonight, we will talk with the film director, Mr. Arash Riahi, the film director of Oskar and Lilli, Where No One Knows Us. This is an Austrian film, and we are waiting for him to join us tonight. Hello, Arash.
Hey.
Hey, how are you doing? How is the baby? And congratulations for your baby.
Thank you very much. It's still sleeping, so I will not speak very loud. Sleep in the other room. Sorry for being late, but it's complicated if the baby is 4 days old.
Yeah, so your wife and you and the baby has already returned to home. That's good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So, how is it going in Jakarta?
Yes, everything going well. We just finished the virtual closing ceremony today. just a couple hours ago. And right now, I was just explaining to the audience of our webinar session today, our film talk today, that about the rule of the webinar. And then now we could basically talk to you about your film, Oskar and Lilli, when no one knows us. My first questions usually goes to what was the first inspiration for you to make a film?
I myself, I'm a child of refugees, Iranian refugees. So this film is the second part of a trilogy about fleeing that I'm doing. And when I was a child, my parents left Iran with classical smugglers on horses. It took us 1 week on horses with smugglers to go over the mountains of Iran to Turkey and then stay there for 3 months. And it was an adventure for me. And I was at the same age as Oskar is in the film, 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. And in the first film that I made about this subject, which was called For a Moment Freedom, that was a film about the time where people try to reach the country of their hope. Documentary. In this film, I wanted to express the atmosphere, the feelings from the point of view of children, and the fact that if we let them, they can integrate very good. And for example, I wanted to break with these cliches of that stories about refugees has to be always extremely sad. I mean, it's also sad in a way, but it's also funny and also full of life, because for me life is sad and fun at the same time and never only one thing. So yeah, that was the thing. And the film is based on a novel by Monika Helfer. It's an Austrian writer who wrote this 1995. And in the original story of her, these were not refugee children. There were just two children whose mother was had mental problems and tried to kill herself, and the children were separated. I took that story, talked to the writer, if it's okay, because I'm a political filmmaker and I would like to keep the core idea of that novel, but make it about these refugees. And she was absolutely for it, and that was very nice, and I'm very thankful to her that she allowed me to really work freely with her material and add a lot of myself. So you see a lot of my own, I don't know, mentality or surviving method in Oskar, who is extremely optimistic and overly positive and tries to change the reality around himself, change the people around himself through his childish optimism that sometimes melts your heart.
Yes, that's true. And also the film felt also adventurous with Oskar's attitude towards life, and is very smart and creative in a way. You were just saying that also earlier, that you also put a lot of your personal story and experience into building up the character of Oskar. So maybe you could just give us an example probably on which scenes, because most of Oskar's scenes are always endearing to me.
Yeah. What, for example, I mean, I like details a lot. So this making smileys out of stuff is something that I really like. I like meat.
Oh, that's why about the bread, sorry.
Yeah, I like to make this kind of stupid jokes. I like to look at the positive parts of situations and leave out the negative parts, because I think that this negativity will suck energy from me. I believe that you can change the surrounding of yourself with that kind of attitude. I mean, if it's something very normal, if I meet you for the first time and I'm annoyed by you, you will also be annoyed by me. But if I smile at you and if I make a joke, we have an empathy for each other, which we can build on. So these elements, I'm fascinated by old people also, like interested in their lives and what they experience. In a way, I'm living in exile in Austria now for more than 40 years. And it makes me sad because I cannot go back to Iran, and my grandparents, my grandfather already died, my grandmother is very old, and I can't see them, and that makes me really sad. And now that, for example, my daughter is born, I know that she will never see them. So maybe this relationship between the boy and the grandmother is also a reflection of that, that longing to have, to have your grandparents with you, and that this time that dictatorship regimes take away from us for no reason, just because we are not believing the same things that they believe.
Yes, that's true. And earlier also you said that you are paying a lot of to details, especially like from all the iconic or stuff in the film that we could see, like creating a smile figure. And also I noticed that you also have a lot of Indonesian stuff in the room of the grandmother. For example, the statue of the Japanese wayang or puppet that we call, and also the toys that Oskar is playing with the music, so instruments. I understand that it's actually to also represent the grandma's spirit in traveling.
Yeah, the grandma was an old musician and traveled everywhere and has all kinds of stuff from the world. Also the money, the rest of the monies that she has, the stuff, yeah. It was more like that. It was not, we wanted to have different things from different cultures. And this instrument that he plays, I wanted to have something like that. And I went to a shop which is specialized on all kinds of instruments from all over the world. And I played with all of them and found this one specifically. The sound, I liked it very much. And at the end of the shooting, as the present for all the team members, we bought them, each of them, this instrument.
Oh, that's so kind. That's really nice. Yeah, I have also the instrument in my place, and I also give it to my nieces.
The cool thing is with this instrument that I love music extremely, but I'm absolutely not talented in playing any instrument. I tried it several times with piano or whatever. I can't do it. This instrument, you can't play wrong. You just press these buttons and every time it sounds good. So this is my kind of instrument that I like.
Yes, that's true. That's why even Oskar, a little boy, a little girl can also play it actually, because it is so easy to play that.
And also there is this shot in the beginning of the film where Oskar is on the roof and he plays with this nails that are actually there.
Yes.
Against doves,
Yeah.
So that birds don't sit there and shit on the roof and stuff. So, and I like it when children, especially children, don't care for what something was made for. They just use it the way they think it's cool. So he uses something that is actually against something that should hurt. He uses it to make music or sounds.
Yeah, that's true. When I saw that scene, I was just like, oh my God, isn't that risky or dangerous? Us as an adult will think like that. But then, of course, as a child, then you can just play with anything that they see.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering, how did you manage to find Oskar and Lilli?
Actors?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it took us a long time to make this film, to finance it. It took 6-7 years to make it. And there were also a lot of rejections, still people believed in it. And in the end, it was like we casted more than 250 kids.
Wow.
And we also casted Chechnyan kids. And some of them were good, but in the end, we chose the two children who were the best actors or actresses, although none of them has acted before. But and it was interesting because the language was, of course, an issue. Will these children who are 6 years in Austria be able to speak accent-free German or not? And would it be believable for the story if they speak accent-free? And then we casted Chechnyan kids, and some of them were born here and had extremely heavy accent. Some of them were here since 5-6 years and nearly didn't have an accent. And then I remembered myself when I was in Austria as a child. You learn so quickly the language. After 2 years, 1 or 2 years, I could speak perfectly. And also, yeah, I didn't have an accent. So I thought, why these children who are since 6 years there should have an accent? And in a way, it was also a very good decision, I think, that because I didn't want the audience to look at these children and say, these are foreigners. I wanted them to look at them, see them, they talk like us, like, let's say, the Austrian or German people who know the language good. They behave normal, they are just kids. Who cares where they come from, you know? So in a way, the fact that I choose children who speak the language perfectly helped also, I think, to identify with the audience.
Yeah, and Oskar speaks perfectly also German.
Yeah, what we did though was that we took one of the children one of the Chechnyan girls that we found. She had a special R, like a rolling
pronunciation.
Yeah, rolling R, and we recorded with her all the sentences of the kids, the way she would say it, and then we played it for the kids, so they learned this, just this one thing, this rolling R, in order to have the language a little bit strange. These are, of course, details that only German-speaking people will
understand. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that so? I mean, it looks like that you have a lot of patience working with kids. Was that like part of the biggest challenge? Like, I mean, working with kids,
Yeah,
making the film?
Definitely. When the first film that I made about the subject, is For a Moment Freedom, there were also 2-3 kids, but they played only the side roles. I could always cheat and cut away in the editing if the kids were not good, cut to the grown-ups. But here I knew that in this film, every scene is with one of the children. And if I can't make them play authentic and believable, the film will not work. So I was quite, I was not afraid of it, but I had a big respect for it. And I prepared myself. I did a lot of rehearsing with them. I had 2 children coaches who helped me, who were themselves actresses who knew some tricks and stuff like that. Especially, for example, the scene where the kids visit the mother in the hospital and Lilli cries. It was very important that she manages to cry, but of course, I don't want to harm the kids to make them cry. You know? I wanted that they maybe understand the situation and cry because of that, and it worked. So this was a very important scene, for example, that the crying is real and that they were prepared. But yeah, I have patience with children, and I love working with them. If you find the right children, they are magic. And what I did was I rehearsed with them a lot and recorded it with my phone. And then I told them also to say it again with their own words, to make some new interpretations and stuff. And afterwards I watched all the material, and sometimes they created some very interesting sentences and stuff that I added then to the script.
Right now we have already questions from our audience. One is from Ryan Putra Yusuf. Hi Arash, how did you find the child actors and how did you get them to do what you want? I think we have already covered that question with just your explanation.
Yeah, just a quick additional.
Yeah, please add.
Yeah, it was like 250 children. We found them through all kinds of sources. We made on Facebook announcement, friends, schools, children gardens, and stuff like that. And yeah, this way we found them. Also, some children who are in actors' agencies. Yeah.
Were there any funny moments when you did the shooting with Oskar, the actor who plays Oskar and Lilli? Were there any funny moments? Yes.
Or during the shooting?
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting that he was really amazing. And I mean, if you're 8 years old, it was summer. We were shooting in summer, and you're not allowed to have a child at night. So the children it's a very strict laws in Austria. It's considered child labor if the child is working. So we had to be strict. So it was very hot, and we had to close the windows with black, like black materials, and pretend that it's night, because not later than 1 or 2 times we could shoot with him till 11 in the evening, but then not longer. Most of the times till 8. And he was very good. And it was interesting that he's at the end of the week, he was quite tired, and he said he's happy now to go home. On Saturday, he was sleeping and relaxing. On Sunday, he was already impatient to come on the set, and he loves it. He loved it. Everyone loves the children. They get everything what they want. It's a big adventure. It's amazing. And then they can go with their friends to the cinema and show themselves on a big screen. Yeah.
So if the film has been screened in the cinema in Austria?
Yeah, it started first last year in France, in Paris. In France, it started in March. 10 days it was there in the cinema, and then COVID came, unfortunately. And in Austria, we had the cinema release last year in October. We postponed it 2 times. It was in October, also 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then cinemas were closing. That was annoying.
Yes, I can imagine. And how was the response of the audience?
Yeah, response.
I mean, I know it's a very short term.
Yeah, no, the response was very good. And fortunately, the film traveled through festivals and so far got 21 awards and great critics in Austria, Germany, and France. And yeah, that's good. But like because of COVID, not everything was possible. So it's a little bit, of course, sad that the potential that the film had in the cinemas and so on could not be played out.
Yeah, that's true. And now we will go to the second question. It's from Fanny. Hi, Mr. Arash. How long was the production from the movie? And did you find it difficult to work with the kids? How do you direct them? I think this is already also covered from our discussion, but if you would like to add something, please, especially about the production.
Yeah, the production, I mean, it took us 6-7 years to make the script ready and to get the money and stuff. But once the financing is there, then the whole process is maybe, let's say, 1 year. You prepare 2-3 months, you shoot. We had 35 days of shooting, and then you edit 6 months or something till the film is finished.
How is it with the funding? I mean, if you are an independent filmmaker in Austria, do you get some kind of subsidy from the government? Or
yeah, we have. We have in Austria. We have a cultural funding system. So we have the Austrian Film Institute. We have the regional funds like the Vienna Film Funds, and then we have the Austrian TV. So these 3 pillars are the main pillars of the funding of a film. So this film, for example, its budget was 2.4 million, I think, euros. So it was through these 3 funds plus another regional fund. Yeah, you apply, there is a jury of 5 people. They decide
Right. So you apply within a project first, and then they will decide whether you will be granted with the funding or not.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then the next question coming from Ali Imam Zaki. Hi, Arash. Could you share us how was the process of obtaining the adaptation rights of Oskar and Lilli, and how significant was the involvement of the author, Ms. Monica Helber, in making the film?
Yeah, it was very difficult. So I got first a script that she has written herself, a screenplay based on her own novel. I read the script and I thought, okay, it's not really working. It's not bad, but it's also not what it could be. Then I read the novel, and I fell in love with the novel because the novel had a lot of poetry and a lot of details and stuff like that. And then was the big work. After I contacted her, she allowed me to make it political. It was a big work to reduce the story to this, because in the novel, after, for example, the grandmother dies, the boy goes into another family. And so like you have still 100-page in the other family and so on. The big difficulty in the process of adaptation was to say goodbye to some elements of the novel, some characters, for example, because I loved them, they were great, but in a fictional film, you cannot, you don't have time to go 5 minutes, 10 minutes into a side character story or into a side character story. So that was difficult. And what was interesting, I made something, you know, there is this thing in the psychotherapy, it's called family constellations, where you have like people who are representing your family. You stand there and you tell them about your traumas and stuff. And this is also existing for script writing. And I went to a constellation, and the constellation person told me, put all of the main important characters of the book on one side of the room, and now bring on the other side of the room, depending on the importance of the people, the characters that you need for the film. And then I took, of course, Oskar and Lilli from this side of the room to the other. And in the end, the sister of Betty remained as the last person. And then that was for, and then the constellation moderators said to me, ask her how she feels. And I asked the sister of Betty how she feels. And she was laughing and she said, no, I feel great. I have the book. I'm in the book anyway. I don't care what you do. I like to look at you in the film. So, and that was interesting and helped me to take her out of the film. And some elements that I wanted to have, I put on the character of the mother of Betty. So yeah, that's an example of this.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Ali. And now it's the question from Mr. Bambang Kinai. Hi, Aras. I find your film moving, tender, and emotional. I would like to know if there's any particular reason to make the characters from Czech instead of any other country.
I didn't get the last part. If there is what?
He was asking, is there any particular reason of making the characters coming from Czechia instead of any other country?
There is not really, they could come from everywhere, but what I wanted was, one thing was that I wanted that they are, you know, like Chechnyan, the image of Chechnyan refugees is not very good, especially in Europe, you know, they're kind of, because they're very closed culturally, there's a lot of violence, like in France, for example. One Chechnyan guy beheaded a teacher last year. They are kind of, it's kind of, they come from a culture and from a crazy country in a sense that, I mean, you know, that the leader there is like, it's a very violent dictator who's working with Putin and so on. So, and I thought, okay, what if your children in that culture, you have no connection to the culture. You think, and you Google it, for example, the boy Googles it. And and says and finds out a lot of negativity about Chechnya. And then he thinks, yeah, maybe Chechens are bad people. So this was one reason. And the other reason was that I didn't want to have recent refugee children, like Syrian or Afghan and so on, because I wanted them to be already 6-7 years here.
Yeah.
So that it's not connecting to any wave of refugees. It's just, yeah, they're just these two children. It has nothing to do with their own culture. They don't even know their own culture. They have just this stamp of being Chechnyan,
Yeah.
which they themselves don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to also express and address the issue that has been there since a long time, especially like you said, the family has stayed there for 6 or 7 years, and then now they're facing the challenges.
Yeah, I wanted to make also clear that these children, they are the generation that if the European countries or the countries who take the refugees, if they give them a chance, if they teach them the important elements and rules of democracy and equality and so on, these are the children who can one day, maybe some of them, change their culture back. They can maybe bring in new democratic understandings and so on. It's really like after the failure of the Western politics in Afghanistan, now after the failure of all these violent interventions like Iraq, Syria, everywhere. I mean, there is no example where the external trying to bring democracy worked. So now is the time that we think, okay, what is the solution? If 20 years of forced, let's say, democratic change in Afghanistan with the best weapons of the world didn't work, what can work? And probably, and it's a question I don't know myself, but I think probably what can work is, the only thing that can work is if it's a movement from the people themselves. Some of them are maybe in exile, some of them are outside, that they change it. They understand at one point they don't want to have such a dictatorship, and they are ready to go on the streets and fight it and learn. I mean, it's like really absurd that the Western societies and the Western governments think that by toppling the head of a regime or the heads of a regime, they change the society. The people have lived, if people lived in dictatorships, I mean, you know, in Jakarta yourself, how many years it took in Jakarta, I say, in Indonesia. And
more than 3 years under the regime of Suharto.
Yeah, it's a slow process, but it
Yes, I can truly understand that. So one last question before we end this film talk. I understand that Oskar and Lilli was having a foster parents. I would like to know that you also show a different kind of foster parenting system that they have in the movie. So I was just wondering about the foster parenting system in Austria. Is it like that, like for example, like Lilli wanted to stay with Ruth, and then Ruth partners does not agree on that, and then also, well, Oskar having a very cute vegan parent who eats a sandwich with me. So
yeah, normally it's like this, that of course the social system tries not to separate the sister and brother siblings, but in some cases when they went both through heavy trauma, they have to be separated for some time. And the foster care system is like this. There are parents who cannot take care of their children, but they are not sure if they want to give the kids for adoption. So they give them for fostering. Some of them want the children back after some years. Some of them not. So there is this chance that if you have nice foster parents and the child wants to stay with them, and the situation of the parents is very unstable and not good, and the parents, the new foster parents are ready at one point to adopt the child, that it's adopted.
Arash. So thank you so much for today's film talk. Yes, and but before we ending it, I think our host Panji will guide us on how to do the photo session. Please, Panji.
Hello everyone, I'm the host for this film talk and I will guide you through the photo session. I will count to 3, look at the camera and I'll take a photo. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Panji. Thank you so much, Arash, for finally making the film talk happen. And congrats with your little baby and also for the mother. I hope that they are staying well and healthy.
Yeah. Sorry that it didn't work on Saturday. It was a mix up. Hopefully. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good now. I mean, we're happy that we have this film talk now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I wish you a good luck.
Bye. Thank you. And if there are any writings or reviews or whatever, even if we don't understand them, send them to us. We post them on our site.
Right. Yes, we will send them to you. We will also send this link and also the photo of our session to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
So yes, thank you everyone. That's the last film talk that we have for today with the director of Austrian film Oskar and Lilli, When No One Knows Us, Mr. Arash Riahi. And also, I would like to say thank you to Austrian Embassy for supporting Europe Austria 2021, and also all of our media partners and festival partners and organizers. And before it ends, I would like to announce the winner for tonight's, our last film talk for today. Goes to Miss Fanny S. Congratulations, Miss Fanny. Our team will contact you for the details of sending our Europe Austria 2021 package and gift. So yes, tomorrow we will have Instagram Live festival updates with the winner of short film pitching project with my colleague Novalia Zid, and also another film talk with the director of our closing film, We Are the Thousand, Miss Anita from Italy. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe and do not forget to book all the films that given extra screening. This is your last chance to see the film and to get the tickets. And our festival, even though has been officially closed today, we are still having a lot of films to be watched until the 2nd of October, this upcoming Saturday. So Putri signing off, and I see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.